Hello and welcome back. Today we're not in Sendai, we're in Kyoto. And this marks the beginning of our 4 or 5 day stay here. This is one of the busiest times of the year, but we don't plan on just staying in Kyoto. We want to hopefully go to some nearby cities like Osaka, Nara, Kobe, and it's going to be very busy, but let's not waste any of that time and let's get going. Well, we made it to Fushimi Inari, but as you can see, it's extremely crowded, and we're at the base right now where the temple is at, and we're about to go inside. So here's the map. We're at the bottom there, the red little dot. Looks like we're at the base of the mountain, and we need to go north to get to the tori gates, right? Yeah, 1,000 tori gates. Yeah, so I guess we gotta go north, right? This is the entrance. You have to go up the stairs to get to the 1,000 tori gates. So we're making our way up the stairs now, and we'll see what it looks like when we get up there. That is quite the tori gate. Oh, here we go, the walkthrough. You can see the kanji as we walked past on each individual tori gate. Well, if there's 1,000 gates, I'd say, well, they're really tightly packed together, so
yeah, I'd say we're probably at 300, 400.
Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. Well, remember there's two paths, so if I had to guess, maybe it's 500 for each path.
Yeah, probably.
Well, as soon as you go through the tori gates, it looks like at the top is little shops and a little worshiping shrine that you can pray at, another map, and you can continue on going through the other tori gates. I'll be honest, they do look like juice boxes.
I'm pretty sure they are.
I guess even the gods get thirsty too. We just left the second part, so now we're heading towards the third section. Let's see where it takes us. Looks like we've met with a crossroads. If we continue on, we'll go on the Higashiyama course to Yotsuji. But if we go to the top right, then it looks like it'll lead us to some sort of castle. So we have a decision to make. Looks like up and to the right is the path that's chosen. It said that there's some sort of castle up here. I don't know what that's really going to entail, but I guess we'll find out. Well, I'd say we're definitely off the beaten path. Not many tourists around here in this section, so hopefully it leads us to something worth going to. So we've been hiking up this pathway to what was said to be a castle at the top, and looks like most of this is just a bamboo forest, which is really nice and honestly smells great. And we're just gonna keep hiking up. I didn't realize there was a hike off the beaten path, and I wore jeans. So I guess these are my hiking jeans now. Don't worry, it looks like Daniel wore jeans too though, so we both came duly prepared. Here we go. Well, after the short little hike, it looks like we have come across something. And this looks beautiful. It's got some cherry blossoms. And I'm assuming this is the castle that was what was talked about? What do you think?
It doesn't look much like a castle, more like a shrine.
This does look more like a shrine, yes. Yep, definitely not the castle that was talked about. But beautiful nonetheless, wow. Some of these areas are labeled no photography and some of them aren't, so it's actually really confusing on what you can and cannot record. So hopefully I'm not recording something I'm not supposed to be. It just leads down into, this leads down into what looks like a tiny little shrine, I believe.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I don't see a no photography sign, so hopefully I'm not doing something I'm not supposed to. Sure enough, this whole back forest is just completely bamboo. It is all a bamboo forest. Here's a lone tori gate. I will say, if you do get the chance to take this little path, I would highly recommend it. It's way quieter than it is where all the other tourists are. Everyone's talking and walking through the gates, which is very beautiful. Those gates are amazing, but this is also very different vibe, very serene, very tranquil. And it's a nice little hike, so I recommend it. We're just in the middle of a bamboo forest. We'll keep continuing on the hike and see where it takes us. Like the sign mentioned, there is supposed to be some sort of castle along the way, and this seems like to be just a little shrine along that route. So we'll keep going and see what we find. Well, everything was unrouted up until you get to this point where there's a fence, and that kind of breaks up the immersion of being in the middle of a bamboo forest. But it's still beautiful, and especially the sound is great, because unless you run by a pack of tourists, then it's just the sound of the wind and the trees blowing. Well, we just found a sign that said Mount Inari, 40 minutes. So now we're questioning whether or not we have taken a route maybe we weren't prepared for. It still beats being with the crowd and all the tourists in the tori gates, but a 40-minute hike in jeans isn't really something we were expecting to do. So I guess we'll just keep going for now. I'd say since the start of our trip, this is probably the quietest it's ever been. Granted, we are in the middle of a bamboo forest, but it is eerily quiet. I'd say we passed by a small pack of tourists, maybe every, what do you say, Daniel? Every few minutes?
Few minutes, 5
Yeah,
minutes.
every 5 minutes or so, we might pass by a small group, and that's about it.
It's a handful.
I think we're finally coming to the conclusion that this is a 40-minute hiking trail that we stumbled upon. Hey, you know what? It's nice, it's serene. It's a completely different mood than being with all the tori gates and all the people, but it's gonna be a bit of a hike, huh? I would say, I know I've made some comments about being in jeans, but actually this is a very easy hike. It's more like a nice walk through the forest for now. If that changes, I'll definitely keep you updated.
I think we went here on the first crossroads, and we just kind of went up through here. That was the first shrine that we came across, and then we just kind of went along this route.
The like kind of back way?
Yeah, I feel like we were along this, and we just kind of ended up somewhere around here. Maybe this is where, or one of these two are where we are, maybe.
And then we just keep going up?
And then we just keep going up and then around to the top, or
we need to really make sure we don't miss this left.
yeah.
Because if we go right, we're not gonna make it home tonight. No, I think the metal gates are actually natural to the forest.
Oh, you think they grew out of the ground?
Yeah, I think they grew straight out of the ground. It's very quiet back here. Something to keep in mind is that some of the shrines along this route are banned to non-worshippers, so please be respectful of that. I'm obviously not recording anything from those locations. This one behind me is one of them. And just observe from afar and continue along the path. Look at that hiking technique. Look at that. I'm gonna be honest, the first time I had researched Fushimi Inari, I thought it was just going to be the 1000 tori gates. I wasn't expecting it to have so much to do, I guess. So much to do in the sense of if you enjoy hiking, at least. Otherwise, it really is just small tourism shops that sell little charms, and you can visit the main shrine or little shrines along the paths and then seeing the tori gates. Otherwise, it's just hiking. More cherry blossoms. These are the coveted natural blue nets of the bamboo forest. Looks like we are on the correct path still. Mount Inari top is where we're trying to head. Looks like we came from the Fushimi Inari shrine, so we've been at it for about 15 minutes, and we got 15 minutes more to go to get to the mountaintop. Hey, little guy. Buddy. Oh wow, there's a lot of cats up there. What's interesting is that if you keep going along the trail, it just leads into a residential area in the middle of the mountains. It's a very pink cherry blossom up there. Okay, so we found a better map. It looks like obviously we are here. So we came from here. After we took the tori gates, we came and there's a branching path that we took up to here, and we followed it all the way up to here. And this sign says that if you climb the slope, We'll get to the top of the mountain in about 20 minutes. The last sign said it would take about 15 minutes. So one of these is inaccurate. Either way, this is the goal, the top, and then we'll probably just come back down along this route and leave out here because this is the main shrine and it's very busy there. So we're just gonna keep continuing. So something we've come to realize is that there's little tiny houses sprinkled around the back of this forest, and each one has a shrine, and this is just speculation, but either it's a generational shrine or just people that lived in the area at the time, but each house seems to have its own separate shrine, and the architecture around is very old. I mean, I couldn't give you a rough estimate, but it wasn't made in my lifetime, that's for sure. Well, we're going straight up the mountain now, so I'm assuming we're about to reach the peak of Inari Mountain. So we'll see what's up there. So I said I'd mention if the hike ever became more than just a little walk. So here's the mention. At the end, when you get to the peak, or you're heading up to the peak, it is nothing but stairs going straight up. So be prepared for that. Maybe don't wear jeans, don't wear Converse. Well, eventually they'll run out of steps, right? Right? Well, I think we're starting to get to the top. It's hard to say. How many stairs do you think we've gone up already, Daniel?
Probably 250.
250? Yeah, well, even if it's not 250, it's really steep. Okay, it does look like we are approaching the top, and the sun is starting to set, so hopefully we'll get a nice sunset.
Now I think about it. Probably chose the harder route.
Well, false alarm. It's nice, but I don't think it's the top. However, I think it's close because the ground is flattened out and there's a little bit of a hill coming up, but I think for the most part we're at the top. I think maybe we took the harder route of going here, and I'm thinking that the main route is probably a little easier, probably less of a steep incline towards the end like we just had to do. And there's also a lot more people here now too, so that's my guess. Looks like this is the top of the Inari Shrine, and also the final place of worship, the top of the mountain. It looks like most of the tourists have cleared out, so, well, besides Daniel down there. But otherwise, it's pretty clear. I'd say this is a much better view than down at the bottom where most people were grouped. It was almost shoulder to shoulder going through those tori gates, but these ones are a lot more empty and a lot more peaceful, actually. So I'd say if you do come to the Fushimi Inari Shrine, to make sure to go to the top of the mountain. I do recommend the back trail, but any trail would do, especially if you can get a view like this at the end. Well, that's going to be all from us. This should be just about everything at the Fushimi Inari Shrine, and I'd say it was a beautiful experience. However, maybe skip all the lines at the bottom, shoulder to shoulder down there. Just take the back routes. It's so much prettier. But for now, that's everything I've got. Stay safe, and I'll see you again real soon.